well known. I grew up in India, so obviously I'm quite familiar with Hinduism, and I've read many scriptures and mythologies of Hindu mythologies. And also I'm familiar with Buddhism, because Buddhism also originated here. And I've been living in this country for more than 50 years. And I read a little bit of Christianity. I wouldn't say a whole lot, but bits and pieces, and heard most of the things. One of our 7 principles is learn wisdom for all sources, including all the religions. So that's part of, in that spirit, I chose this topic for today. And now, in most of the religions, concept of God or divinity is central, along with how they interact with the human beings and the rest of the world. Okay. Now, from scientific point of view, astrophysicists think the world started with the Big Bang a long time ago, a few billion years ago, based on their observations and calculations. And still, a lot of mysterious things in the universe we don't understand. And in fact, last night I was listening to a story on public channel, about a mysterious 9th planet, which has an orbit of 100 million miles from Earth. Very strange. They don't know how the hell it happened, but a lot of mysterious things in astrophysics still happens. And on top of that, on Earth, life evolved a few million years ago. How it happened, nobody has a clue. And it evolved into various organisms. Now what we see, life all around us in all forms, evolved over a long period of time. Yet, with all our scientific advances, we still don't have an understanding of what a life is. There's no definition of life. If you can't define it, you can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you cannot model it. There's no scientific understanding of the basic thing for us, life. We don't know scientifically what the hell it is. It exists, we know that, because we're all living. Anyway, so now, suppose if I say, all that exists in the universe, all the physical light and energy, and all the dark matter and dark energy which we don't understand, we don't observe yet, plus all the life processes in the world and all the consciousness, all of that, we call it as an entity, E. So that is a concept of God in some sense, okay? In Hinduism, that is called Brahman. That is central to everything. Brahman, all the deities, hundreds of deities in Hindu mythologies are all aspects of this Brahman. Just like, air is one aspect of the physical reality. Water is another aspect of physical reality. Gravity is another aspect of physical reality. All the subatomic forces are a different aspect of physical reality. All are part of the universe. Similarly, we're a part of the Brahman. All the deities are also part of an aspect of this ultimate Brahman. That is the Hindu concept of God. Now, Christian concept, of course, God exists, period. Nobody has seen it. He's also omnipotent and omniscient. In that sense, he's something like Brahman. He's everywhere, even in Christian concept. He said, "Let there be light." There was a Big Bang. Okay, so now, from the lifestyle, as I mentioned, in Christianity and in Judaism as well, God created the universe, and God is omniscient and omnipotent. In the Hinduism, that everything that exists is Brahman, as I mentioned. Now, in Buddhism, however, there's no explicit mention of a God, but it exists very indirectly, because it talks about evolution of humanity to more enlightened stage. And it talks about various Buddhas who are still helping us through evolutionary process. And you see a number of Buddhas in Buddhist literature, and if you go to Asian countries, you see a whole bunch of Buddhist temples. Different temples are named for different Buddha. There is Amitabha Buddha, Avalokiteshvara Buddha, and various other Buddhas. These are all enlightened beings, just like Jesus Christ was in Buddhist. Now, let me read a few quotes. And I want to first start with 10 commandments. Not all of them. I'll take the commandment 5 onwards. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Number 6, thou shalt not kill. In some literature, the wording is different. Thou shalt not murder. And number 7, thou shalt not commit adultery. 8, thou shalt not steal. 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 10, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Now, if you look at all these commandments, they're all principles of ethical life. They're common to all religions. And in Hinduism, it's called dharma. Dharma means living life in a righteous way. These are the principles of living life in a righteous way. So these are common to Buddhism as well as Hinduism. The righteous living is the part of all religions. These are the principles outlined in the 10 Commandments, at least. All right. Now, in Sermon on the Mount, Jesus Christ, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, and they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for this is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, and for your reward is great in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Now, much of this reading, this type of sayings exist in Hinduism, Buddhism in a different fashion. Various different ways of looking at a life and how people have to deal with each other. These are all principles of how people should live righteous life, and punishment as well as reward for righteous life. Now, let me go on to something else. In one of the other, I need to go back and forth, I'm sorry. In Hinduism, one of the basic texts, scriptures is called Bhagavad Gita. This is supposed to have been given by Sri Krishna to Arjuna on a battlefield about how to act in life. Okay, one of the things I want to read here is seek refuge in the attitude of detachment, and you will amass the wealth of spiritual awareness. Those who are motivated only by desire for the fruits of action are miserable, for they are constantly anxious about the results of what they do. When consciousness is unified, however, all vain anxiety is left behind. There is no cause for worry whether things go well or ill. Therefore, devote yourself to the disciplines of yoga, for yoga is skill in action. The wise unify their consciousness and abandon attachment to the fruits of action, which binds a person to continual rebirth. Thus they attain a state beyond all evil. When your mind has overcome the confusion of duality, you will attain the state of holy indifference to things you hear and things you have heard. when you are unmoved by confusion of ideas and your mind is completely united in deep samadhi, you will attain this state of perfect yoga. Now, this is part of what they call a karma yoga. This karma yoga also appears in Buddhism in a different language. That means your job is to do righteous action, whatever it is, and but not be attached, without attachment to the fruits of your action. If you are not attached to the fruits of your action, you will not be bound by the results of whatever happens. You did your duty, that is the part of life. So this particular thing also actually appears in some of the Christian principles as well, in Christ's sayings, especially in the Sermon on the Mount and other features. Now, let me read some Buddhist text. The Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is right understanding, right intent, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These are similar to living a life of dharma, righteous living, just like what we heard of in Ten Commandments as well as Sermon on the Mount. Righteous action, righteous living, righteous thinking is a part of Buddhism. That's what the Buddha recommended when the disciples wanted to know the ultimate truth. Because you can only meditate so long, but you still have to live. How to live? These are the Eightfold Path he mentioned. And here, the right understanding. First step of the Eightfold Path is right understanding or right view. This is a significant step on the path as it relates to seeing the world and everything in it as it really was, not as we believe it to be or want it to be. Just as you may read the directions on a map and then make the journey, studying, reading, examining the information is important, but only the preparation for the journey. At a deeper level, direct personal experience will then lead us to right understanding. Right intent. The second step in the Eightfold Path is right intent. This step where we become committed to the path. Right understanding shows us what life really is and what life's problems are composed of. Right intent urges us to decide what our heart wants. That is the right intent. And then the right speech. Right speech is the next step of the path. We tend to underestimate the power of spoken word, but often regret words said in haste. Each of us has experienced the disappointment associated with harsh criticism, whether justified or not, and we are likely to have felt good when kind words encouraged us. Right action. This is the most important of all. Right action recognizes the need to take the ethical approach in life, to consider others and the world we live in. This includes not taking what is not given to us or having respect for the agreements we make both in our private and business lives. Right action also encompasses the 5 precepts which were given by the Buddha: not to kill, steal, lie, to avoid sexual misconduct, and not to take drugs, other intoxicants. This step on the path also includes a whole approach to the environment, with right action being taken whenever possible to safeguard the world for future generations. Now, what I read in the Buddhist Eightfold Path is actually common to Christianity as well as Hinduism. That's the path of right action. And Sermon on the Mount as well as the Ten Commandments essentially teach us the same thing. And in the Buddhist, in the Hindu, all the scriptures, all the mythologies deal with actions of dharma or consequences of not doing the righteous way. And so that's where the commonality appears among various religions. And I can go on and on and on on this type of stuff for a long time. I don't want to bore you to death. So that's what I want to bring it to you up today. Okay? And I'll close this talk with a very old Sanskrit phraseology called Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Let all people live happily ever after.